It had been about a month since Chloe and I last spoke. We were in one of our silent phases, which wasn't entirely unusual, but this one felt different. Just as I was wrapping up the last stop on my tour, my phone suddenly lit up with news that was spreading like crazy. She was apparently engaged. The reporters were waiting for me as I left the venue, and they were surprisingly eager to congratulate me. I had just finished performing and was mentally drained. I looked at the cameras and managed a calm smile. Chloe's engagement wasn't my business. "Here, I genuinely wish Chloe happiness in her engagement," I said, keeping my voice steady. It wasn't until later that I saw the footage from her side. On the TV, right as my interview was airing, the camera cut to her at some event. She crushed the glass she was holding in her bare hand, and blood started to pour out. After the final performance of my tour, I went backstage to find my phone. As soon as I powered it on, a wave of messages came pouring in. "Leo, Chloe proposed to Mark. Mark accepted. After all these years, they're still together. Leo, are you and Chloe really over?" Holding my phone, I just sat down on the couch, feeling completely exhausted. Chloe and I had been giving each other the silent treatment for a full month. In the past, I was always the one who caved first and reached out. But this time, because of the tour, I was just too busy to make the first move. And in that single month, Chloe had proposed to her first love, Mark. I really wasn't in the mood to reply to any of those messages. After taking a short break, I knew I had to go out and face the media for a scheduled interview. As I stepped outside, all the reporters swarmed me. They held out their microphones, impatiently shouting questions. "Leo, when did you propose to Chloe? How long until the wedding? Will it be abroad or at home? Congratulations on your engagement to Chloe," they all said. In the middle of all that chaos, I felt surprisingly calm. I looked straight into the camera, trying to keep any emotion out of my eyes. A moment later, I smiled and spoke clearly. "Chloe's engagement has nothing to do with me. I sincerely wish Chloe happiness in her engagement." On the TV, as I said those exact words, Chloe suddenly crushed her wine glass, causing blood to flow. Mark cried out in shock. "Call a doctor! An ambulance!" He grabbed her hand, his eyes filled with pained tears. "Get out." Chloe's voice was icy as she pulled her hand away from Mark. "Chloe." Mark looked surprised, then embarrassed and teary-eyed. "Get out, all of you." Chloe slowly raised her eyes, her cold gaze sweeping across everyone in the room. "Don't make me say it a third time." Mark held back his emotions, not daring to say anything else, and left with the others. Chloe looked down at her bleeding palm. Her engagement ring was also covered in blood. She expressionlessly took it off and tossed it into the trash. A month later, I was preparing for a performance when the head of the dance troupe suddenly called me into his office. The lead male dancer spot, which had always been mine, was now given to Evan, someone I didn't get along with. Then, my landlord suddenly broke my lease, demanding I move out within 2 days. After breaking up with Chloe, everything seemed to be going wrong for me. When I lost even the chance to perform on stage again, Chloe suddenly called me. "Leo, do you want to continue dancing?" I rushed to the address Chloe gave me. A waiter led me through an elevator and upstairs. As I opened the door, I heard Chloe's voice. "All he has to do is swallow his pride, ask me, and I don't mind taking care of him like a kept man." She spotted me just as she finished speaking, looking calm and composed. My pale face must have seemed ridiculous in contrast. "Chloe, did you do this?" She nodded slightly, flicking the ash from her cigarette. "Why? Why else? I haven't had enough fun yet, Chloe chuckled. Leo, even if we break up, it should be when I'm tired of it. Having to leave my apartment, I stayed temporarily in a hotel. The dance troupe kept me from performing, but every time, I stubbornly put on my costume and waited backstage. Evan started off mocking me, but eventually he just ignored me. As everyone else took their bows on stage, I stood off stage in my practice clothes, my face expressionless. That day, I saw Evan come off stage, cozying up to a woman. It was only then that I noticed Chloe was there. Evan whispered something to her, and Chloe touched his face. She whispered something back in his ear. Evan seemed displeased, but left anyway. Chloe approached me. Leo, do you regret it? See, whoever I choose will succeed instantly. Of course, my feelings for you are different, and if you come back, you'll still be the lead in the troupe. What if I say no? I asked. You're engaged, and I, Leo, won't be anyone's side piece. Chloe laughed. She looked down at me like I was a child who didn't understand. Do you believe that from now on, whether here or abroad, you'll never set foot on stage again? Chloe leaned in, hugging me just like she used to when we were in love, coaxing me. I'll give you a night to think it over. Call me tomorrow. Back in school, any wealthy girl in the dance troupe could have almost driven me to depression, let alone the famous Miss Chloe. I had no doubt she could make sure I never danced again. But if I couldn't continue dancing, it would be more agonizing than death. Back in the dressing room, overwhelmed, I downed 2 bottles of alcohol. By the time I stumbled out, the place was almost deserted. Passing the stage, I suddenly stopped. Sophie was dressed in a black business suit. Her assistant stood behind her, holding her coat. She had a cigarette between her fingers with a long trail of ash, but she forgot to flick it off, just quietly watching the tall figure spinning on the stage. Until finally, the figure came to a halt, looking defeated. Then she heard a soft sob. You go out and wait for me, Sophie said, taking her coat from the assistant before walking up to the stage. When I heard footsteps, Sophie was already standing in front of me. I looked up, tears blurring my vision. Sophie? The Harrisons and the Wilsons weren't exactly friends. Sophie and Chloe never mingled privately. I had met Sophie at a party where Chloe introduced us. These folks, they maintain a facade of harmony, Chloe once said. Sophie was tough to handle. Neither money, power, nor charm could sway her. People often wondered which man could conquer this high mountain flower. Sophie bent slightly, draping her coat over me. What happened? Why so much drinking? She asked. I grabbed at the coat to stand, about to shake my head, when a thought flashed in my mind. I couldn't deal with Chloe, but what about Sophie? The Harrison family was way more influential than the Wilsons, but why would Sophie stand against Chloe for me? Distracted, I took the tissue she handed me. Wipe your tears, she said. I accepted the tissue, but didn't move, just letting the tears fall. Did you fight with Chloe? She asked. We broke up, I replied. Sophie's eyebrow lifted slightly as she glanced at me. Want a ride home? She offered. I didn't refuse. Where are you staying? She asked. I named the hotel. Why a hotel? Got kicked out by the landlord, still looking for a place, I explained. Sophie adjusted her jade bracelet. I have an empty place nearby. How about staying there for a while? I lifted my eyes, red and puffy, to look at the woman before me. The light in the car was dim, but she was stunning. My heart quickened. Wouldn't I be a bother? Not at all, she assured me. Halfway through the drive, I saw Evan's post in my feed. Rehearsals, performances, so tired but totally fulfilled. "See you all at tomorrow night's show. Thanks to my darling for the flowers," it said. The card was signed with a C. I closed the app, turning to Sophie. "Mind if we take a picture?" I asked. "A picture?" She leaned in as I set up my phone's front camera. "Like this, a little closer," I suggested. She leaned closer, her hair brushing my forehead. I adjusted our pose until we were almost cheek to cheek, and I flashed a peace sign. As I hit the button, Sophie's hand gently rested on my hair. "Sophie, you're pretty savvy. Who said you were hard to work with?" I said, zooming in on the picture. The slightly tipsy me looked nice. Sophie still maintained her cool vibe, but her beauty was striking. Her gesture of a head pat sent a shiver through me. I was beyond satisfied. "Mind if I post this?" I asked. "Go ahead," she said, nodding. I quickly edited the post. "A beautiful night," I typed, along with some scenic shots and our photo. Almost immediately, a notification popped up. I checked right away. "Sure is beautiful," it read. Before I knew it, my messages blew up. Too anxious to read them all, I asked her, "Not worried about misunderstandings?" "What misunderstandings?" she replied. "This photo, it's pretty close. People might get ideas," I said. Sophie glanced over. "Worried Chloe might see?" I shook my head vigorously. "No, it's not about her. I just don't want to cause trouble for you." "It's not trouble," she assured me. "Huh?" I said, confused. "Look at your messages," she pointed. Underneath the post, a storm had brewed. "Is that not Sophie next to you, Leo?" one comment said, trembling with excitement. "Stop lying, Leo. You really think you could snap a pic like that with her?" "Her?" Evan commented, skeptical. "I had a friend double-check. No edits here," another added. Musings of "she's just human" and "who the car owner might be" flooded in. The comment section was in utter chaos, making my head spin. Sophie's phone seemed to buzz non-stop as well. I really did cause her trouble. From what I knew, Sophie was more low-key than Chloe, but I'd just put Sophie in the spotlight. "Should I restrict that post?" I offered. She glanced down, fiddling with her jade bracelet. "Leo," she suddenly addressed me. Startled, I looked at her. The changing lights in the car made it hard to read her eyes. "I told you it's not a problem," she said firmly. Her voice resonated, sending a jolt through my heart. There's this subtle magnetic field between men and women. Like at this moment, I sensed maybe Sophie was interested in me. People in the circle often described her with certain words. Low-key, kind of cold. She's tough to deal with, especially not interested in guys. After all these years, I've never heard of any scandals involving her. My heart was beating faster and faster. Back in school, I was bullied, depressed, and even thought about ending it all. Chloe saved me. I really thought she was it for me in this lifetime. But now, she's engaged to her first love, someone who matches her status. Between us, it's completely over. But I know her personality. She was born into privilege, completely spoiled. A pampered princess gets whatever she wants. Now that we're done, knowing how proud she is, she won't just let this go. If I didn't love dancing so much, if I hadn't been at rock bottom, nearly dying, maybe I'd just give up. Worst case scenario, I leave here, change careers. It's not like I couldn't survive. But to me, dancing is more important than my life. My fingers trembled slightly. I picked up my luggage from the hotel, then went to the place Sophie mentioned. She helped me carry the suitcase upstairs. At the door, I asked softly, "Want to come in for tea?" Sophie put the suitcase on the carpet by the entrance. She looked at her watch. "It's late. Get some rest." I was a bit stunned, just staring at her blankly. Sophie chuckled. "Leo, call me when you're sober tomorrow." With that, she turned and left. It wasn't until the door locked behind me that I snapped out of my embarrassment. Sophie didn't mean anything by it. I completely misread the situation. Thinking too much. I woke up near noon the next day. My phone was filled with missed calls and messages. Before I could check them, another call came in. I accidentally answered it. Chloe's angry voice came through. "Leo, where are you now? Don't think I'll just let you get away with everything." "Chloe," I started, realizing my voice was hoarse. "What happened to your voice? Where are you? Don't tell me you're with Sophie." "Yeah, I'm at Sophie's place right now." I clutched the phone, moving to the window to open the curtains. "This place is close to the dance company. I really like it." "What do you mean?" "Leo, I'm warning you, don't push it too far." "Chloe, when you got engaged to Mark, you should have realized there's no chance for us." "Engagement doesn't matter." "It does. Even if I marry him, I can still give you whatever you want. I don't need anything anymore. You better think it through, Leo." "I've thought it through a long time ago." "You think being with Sophie solves everything?" Chloe sneered. "I don't get along with her. You know her motives better than anyone. This is my own business." "Leo, don't end up played and discarded. It won't be worth it." Chloe's voice softened. "Come back, and I'll forget what happened yesterday. You love dancing. I'll buy your theater, and you'll be the lead in every show, okay?" "Chloe, go coddle Evan," I chuckled. "Stop calling me with different numbers. You might not be tired, but I'm tired of blocking you." I hung up and blocked the number. Finished freshening up, I got a call from the dance company. "Leo, come over and complete your resignation." I wasn't really surprised. Chloe could only leverage this against me now. "I'll be there soon." Despite the call, I still felt a little sad inside. I got into one of the best dance companies in my senior year. Within half a year, I became the lead male dancer. I made it here with nearly 20 years of effort. But losing it all could come down to just one person's words. I arrived at the dance company. Evan and others were rehearsing. I stood outside for a while, lost in thought. If I bow my head, there might still be room to maneuver. But doing that, becoming a kept man? My dad would probably jump out of his grave to strangle me. After the resignation was sorted, leaving the company, I couldn't hold it together. Hidden behind the flower bed, I cried. The director made it clear. Once I signed the resignation, no other dance companies or theaters would hire me. My phone kept ringing. I didn't want to check or answer it. When I'd cried enough, I grabbed my suitcase and headed to the street to catch a ride home. Suddenly, a message came through. "Leo, pick up your phone." The phone rang again. I hesitated, but eventually answered. "Sophie, what's up?" "Did you go out?" "Just came from the company." My voice was still heavy with tears. "Have you been crying?" "I'm fine." "Where are you now?" "Just left the company, about to get a ride." "Stay there, I'm coming over." "Sophie, we'll talk in person." Sophie hung up. She arrived quickly. When her car stopped in front of me, I was just sitting on the curb, dazed, like a lost child. Sophie's driver put my suitcase in the trunk. She walked over and extended her hand to me. I looked up at her with a pitiful expression. "Get in the car. Don't bother with me." She didn't mean it. Why let me misunderstand and embarrass myself? Sophie didn't say anything, but I heard a soft sigh. "Leo," she called my name again. "I want to help you." "But you clearly rejected me last night." "Because I don't see you as just any guy." I paused, feeling inexplicably moved. Because of her words, my resolve softened. Sophie first took me to get some food. After I calmed down a bit, she handed me several documents. "Look at these dance companies and theaters. I don't know much about dance, but you do. Decide where you'd like to go. Of course, I won't give you a shortcut. Whether you pass or not depends on your own capabilities. My job is to ensure no one messes things up and to guarantee absolute fairness during the exam. I tightly gripped the paper in my hand. A stubborn determination suddenly surged within me. I have the confidence that as long as the exam is absolutely fair, the result will not disappoint me. Still, the surprise came so abruptly, I feel like I can't completely believe it. Sophie, can this really happen? Nothing in this world is impossible, as long as you're willing to work for it. I suddenly stood up and hugged her tightly. Sophie, thank you. I started practicing like crazy. I spent nearly all my free time in the rehearsal room. The exam time was tight. Even though I was confident, I still felt a lot of pressure this time. After all, I couldn't lose face for Sophie. Sophie came to pick me up as I was changing out of my practice clothes. I was cleaning the wounds on my feet. When she approached, I instinctively hid my feet. Chloe used to complain about my deformed, scarred feet. Actually, she used to get mad at me often because I spent so much time dancing. Practicing, rehearsing, performing. It all took time away from being with her. Looking back, I was just a plaything in Chloe's eyes. Playthings didn't need to work hard on a career. Just pleasing the owner would suffice. Are you hurt? Sophie squatted down and naturally held my ankle. No. Don't look. They're ugly. Sophie glanced up at me. She took the cotton swab from my hand. Let me help you. My big toes were obviously bent and deformed. I even had a couple of toenails missing. I felt they were ugly myself. When Sophie applied iodine to my feet, I instinctively tried to pull away. Don't move. It'll be over soon. She held my foot tight and put a Band-Aid on the wound. Does it hurt? I'm used to it. When the nail fell off, it must have hurt, right? Her voice was soft, with obvious concern in her eyes. I was taken aback, and my nose suddenly stung. Sophie, would you stay with me tonight? She didn't reply. A moment later, she gently lifted my chin. Leo? She called my name again. Look at me, and say that again. I had never seen this side of Sophie. Beneath her calm demeanor was a strong and determined presence. She cupped my face and kissed me. Eventually, we left the practice room, hugging each other. Her clothes were wrinkled because I tugged at them when I was out of breath from her kiss. Seeing the driver, I felt a bit awkward. Sophie, however, seemed unfazed. Sophie usually seemed tall and graceful. I didn't expect her to be even stronger than I had imagined. Nice figure. I tried to sound casual, but I was a bundle of nerves. I thought I might feel resistant or hesitant. But when she asked me to blow-dry her hair after she came out of the shower, I unexpectedly relaxed. Leo. She called my name softly while kissing me. Sophie, I just realized I haven't asked you something. Go ahead. There's no word about you having a boyfriend or any engagements, right? In the dim light, I looked at her. You're not suddenly going to spring a fiancé or an engagement on me, are you? No. Then if you ever plan on getting engaged or married, promise to tell me in advance, okay? Sophie kissed my forehead. Don't overthink. Promise me. She raised her hand, gently stroking my face and eyes. After a moment, she agreed. Okay. I felt relieved, yet a subtle sadness crept in. Deep inside, I actually didn't want her to say okay. Later in bed, I felt the jade bracelet on her wrist. Liar. Liar? Wearing that just makes people think you're all pure and aloof. The first time I saw you, I really thought you were. Even the purest have desires. I remember how you looked at me. How did I look? Your gaze was cold, indifferent. You glanced once and looked away. You didn't look at me again the whole evening. I yawned, exhausted. Before she could speak, I fell asleep holding her bracelet. That evening, it was true. She didn't look at Leo a second time, because he was Chloe's boyfriend then. When she first saw him, her heart skipped a beat. But she wasn't willing to covet someone else's boyfriend. Even though she didn't get along with Chloe, she didn't want to drag innocent boys into petty fights between women. They shouldn't be playthings or pawns. They deserve respect and care. So she restrained herself and didn't look at him again. Until later, in the theater. She watched a whole performance without seeing him take the stage. Feeling uneasy, she waited until after the audience had left. Then she saw him, dancing alone on the stage. Finally, he sank down, crying. She couldn't help herself, and approached him. One step at a time, she got what she wanted. During the exam, I chose the most challenging classical sword dance. An industry master once said classical sword dance is one of the hardest dance forms. It's not recommended for young dancers for competitions or critical exams. Our dance, teacher jokingly said mastering sword dance meant you were a hero, otherwise a clown. I was torn. Though I'd performed sword dance before, it never felt quite right. But this time was different. There was a resolve inside me, a drive. In practice, I keenly sensed this determination could lead to a breakthrough. Sure enough, during the exam, I performed beyond expectations. The music stopped. Even a few teachers were clapping for me. As I walked off the stage, a guy caught up with me, looking really excited. "When you were dancing up there, I could almost feel the intensity. You were incredible." "Thanks, and good luck with your exams." I felt on top of the world. All the stress and exhaustion from days of intense training just vanished. After changing, my phone rang. It was Sophie calling. "Sophie!" I dashed forward, running into the brilliant sunlight. It felt like an invisible weight had finally been lifted off me. The Leo who achieved greatness through hard work and effort, drawing jealousy from others. The Leo who was bullied to the point of wanting to end it all. The Leo who dealt with depression and turned to self-harm to cope. In that moment, running towards the sunlight, I felt reborn. I sprinted towards Sophie and gave her a tight hug. "Looks like it's time to celebrate early." She smiled gently, with warmth in her eyes. "Come on, I'll treat you to a big meal tonight." I initially thought it was just going to be a dinner for the two of us. I was surprised when she invited so many people. When the waiter opened the door to the private room, Sophie grabbed my hand. Everyone inside quickly stood up and came over. Finally meeting the famous face. No wonder Sophie keeps you under wraps. You're so handsome. I felt a little uneasy, instinctively glancing at Sophie. Despite being a large circle, it felt small sometimes. Sophie and Chloe shared some mutual friends. Those folks had seen me with Chloe before. Now I stood there with Sophie, wondering what they might think privately. "Everyone put out your cigarettes," Sophie announced. The room obliged, and after she seated me, everyone else followed suit. Suddenly, Sophie's assistant rushed in. She first glanced at me, then quietly said, "Sophie, Chloe's downstairs, insisting on coming up. They couldn't hold her back." My lips tightened instantly. Life had been peaceful recently, and I almost forgot about the ticking time bomb that was Chloe. "Let her up. Don't stop her," Sophie coolly replied. My hands on my lap began to sweat lightly. She squeezed my fingers gently to reassure me. Less than 2 minutes later, Chloe barged in. Reeking of alcohol, her eyes found mine immediately. "Leo!" she called, striding toward me and reaching out. Sophie intercepted her, her voice icy. "Chloe, mind your place." "My place?" Chloe sneered, glaring at Sophie. Did you mind your place when you seduced my man?" "Your man?" Sophie shielded me as she slowly spoke. "As far as I know, your fiancé is Mark, Chloe. So what?" Chloe's eyes burned. "Mark is my fiancé, but Leo is also mine." "He isn't yours just because you say so," Sophie countered, and Chloe's mocking laugh turned cruel. Her gaze pierced through Sophie to find me. "When I was with him, he was just a student, as pure as a blank slate. Of all the pure men you had to want one I've been with." Before Chloe could finish, Sophie slapped her hard enough to silence the room. Chloe's head snapped to the side, her lip bleeding a bit. I noticed the jade bracelet on Sophie's wrist, glinting coldly under the light. She radiated an intimidating air, brimming with fierceness. Chloe's expression changed instantly. Someone started to intervene, but was stopped by Sophie's icy glare. A soft voice suggested in my ear, "You'd better calm Sophie down. This could really get ugly." I exhaled slowly, wiping away the tears welling in my eyes. Chloe fixed me with a desperate look, silently pleading, but I walked over anyway. Tugging on Sophie's sleeve, I whispered, my voice trembling, "Sophie, let it go. Don't escalate this." That night's dinner ended on a sour note. Chloe had to be helped out by friends. Sophie, looking unhappy, downed quite a few drinks. She told the driver to stop the car on the way back. I knew she was upset. Chloe's words were too harsh, and too many people heard them. Sophie, the pride of her family, would undoubtedly care about her image. "Leo," Sophie suddenly turned my face to look at her. "Do you pity her?" Confused, I asked, "What are you talking about? Did you pity her back there?" I quickly shook my head. "No, I didn't. I tried to stop you because I didn't want you to stir up trouble because of me." My explanation didn't seem to fully convince her. Sophie stared at me, her eyes shadowed by deep desire, yet cold. She leaned in, softly nibbling my earlobe, her voice raspy in my ear. "Leo, don't hold feelings for other women. No one else matters." A week later, I settled into a new dance troupe job. 2 weeks after that, I started performing in dance productions, securing a supporting lead role. The performances were a hit, and we held a celebration with the production company on opening night. Sophie was away on business in the UK and didn't join me. But she sent so many flowers. The entrance of the theater looked like a floral sea. At the celebration dinner, I saw Chloe's fiancé, Mark. He had a classy gentleman and a very handsome, elegant young man standing next to him. For some reason, Mark looked a bit worn out. "Leo," Mark greeted me first. "Mark?" I nodded back, to be polite. His eyes traveled down from my face, pausing for half a second at my waist. Then he turned to the gentleman beside him with a smile. "You see, this is Leo, the male dancer. He's handsome and has a great body, doesn't he? Definitely stands out from the crowd." Next to him, Mr. Harrison fixed a sharp, wary gaze on me, which made me a bit uneasy. "You're Leo?" Mr. Harrison asked, after looking me over. His voice was pretty steady. I nodded. "Hi, Mr. Harrison." He didn't respond, just nodded slightly, and left with the young man. Mark couldn't help but smile. Once they walked away, he spoke to me in a low tone. "Leo, do you think it's easy to get into high society? With your background, you'll never marry Sophie." I took a sip from my glass of wine. Somehow, my heart felt a little heavy. See the guy next to Mr. Harrison? That's Daniel. He's who they picked as their future son-in-law. Sophie knows it too. Mark looked at me with ill intent. I set my glass down and faced Mark. "If you have something to say, just say it straightforwardly." "Leo, I'm just telling you. Neither Chloe nor Sophie are within your reach. You better give up on that idea. Mark, you don't need to lecture me. I never planned for Chloe to marry me before, and I'm not planning for Sophie now. You may not have planned it, but your presence haunts Chloe and makes her restless. Do you know, Leo, she insists on breaking off our engagement? I was genuinely surprised. Mark was Chloe's first love, different from all her other boyfriends. Sorry, I really didn't know. I haven't contacted her since we broke up. It's because you quickly found someone new that Chloe can't get over you, Mark choked up. Leo, how can you just move on so quickly? Why aren't you like the other guys who clung to her? If you wouldn't let her go, she'd be sick of it by now. But you moved on quickly and got with Sophie. Chloe just can't stand it and is determined to win you back. I found it absurd. Why is it a man's fault if a woman is fickle and unfaithful? And why should a man who was betrayed cry and cling on? If someone leaves me, why should I hold on unwillingly? Mark, calm down? I can't calm down? Mark looked at me with sorrowful bewilderment. For years, I watched her change boyfriends one after another. I hoped she would settle down, change her mind, and be devoted. Then she proposed to me, and I thought my waiting paid off. But Leo, she did learn to focus and commit, just not to me. It's you. It wasn't surprising that I would meet Chloe again, but I was caught off guard by how much she'd changed. She was thinner, her clothes were untidy, and her expression was filled with sadness. She put out her cigarette when she saw me come out. Leo. The chill of late autumn was in the air. I wrapped my coat tighter around me and looked at her. A long time ago, the Leo sitting on the edge of the rooftop, contemplating ending it all, was saved by her. No matter what, there's no mortal grudge between Chloe and me. She's not entirely a bad person. She's just spoiled, selfish, and greedy. I've already told Mark about breaking off the engagement. You probably know that for over half a year, I haven't had any ambiguous relationships with other men. That guy Evan, I just used him to make you jealous. I never really got involved with him. Leo, could you come back, please? She wore the white dress I liked, her hair falling over her shoulders, gentle and beautiful. The way I remembered Chloe, yet different. I felt a bit hazy, a bit sad. She should be the proud and somewhat arrogant Chloe, who didn't care about anyone else. Not this cautious person. Chloe, you need to learn to move on and look forward. Be good with Mark. Don't hurt another innocent person. But Leo, I have no feelings for Mark anymore. You're the one I love. Chloe got emotional. I was the one who saved you from the edge. You said you'd always stay with me. Yes. If it weren't for you, I would have been gone. Chloe, you saved my life, and I'll remember it forever. I did say I'd always be with you, but I also said I'd never forgive betrayal or be a third party. I've broken it off with him. But Chloe, it's too late. So you're in love with Sophie now. You think she can offer what I couldn't? Don't you know the Harrisons' doors are even harder to get into than my family's? Do you really think she'll be sincere with you? Daniel is already discussing marriage with her. Leo, you're the only one in the dark. I pushed Chloe's hand away and took a step back. This is my business. Chloe, I know what I'm doing. I know how to move forward and make choices. Climbing into high society isn't the only path for a man. What you find important might mean nothing to me. Don't come to me anymore. Just live your own life. I turned around and walked away. The night wind in late autumn was freezing, but it made me more awake. That night, when I got into the car with Sophie, I had already made my decision. I was using her, knowing full well how wrong it was. I kept warning myself not to get sucked into the gifts and shortcuts women with power can offer. Because when they get tired and take away that ladder you climbed, you'd fall hard with nothing left. Better to build your own steps, one brick at a time. It's harder, but at least it's your path, and no one can take it from you. But when I reached an intersection, waiting for the light to change, I suddenly felt my face cold and wet. I slowly raised my hand to touch it, not knowing when or why. Tears had silently covered my entire face. The night Sophie came back, there was a tiny bit of snow. I insisted on picking her up at the airport. But in a fit of vanity, I wore a thin shirt under my coat. When I got to the airport lobby, I took off the coat. It's not cold with the heat on. From a distance, I spotted her. Career-driven women always have this charm. She wore a black business suit, followed by a few assistants and executives. They just instantly drew all the gazes in the airport lobby. Sophie saw me too. She took a coat from her assistant and gestured for them to stay behind. Then she walked over to me by herself. "Sophie!" I waved at her. She didn't smile much, usually had no expressions. But when I waved, I clearly saw a smile in her eyes. She wanted to see me. Just as during her half-month absence, I found I missed her more than I thought. Back home, as soon as we got in, I kicked off my shoes and hugged her. "Sophie," she watched me, unfazed. "Want to try having a male dancer?" Leaning against the entryway cabinet, her gaze teased. "How do you suggest we try?" I kissed her chin, feeling my ears getting red, speaking boldly. "Haven't you seen how we male dancers train?" I regretted it before I even finished. But regret never changes anything. Sophie. She has this face that looks so uninterested in desires, yet when alone with me, she's completely the opposite. In the end, I could only softly say, "Let's take a break." Is that all a male dancer can do? I had forgotten she'd been away on a business trip for 2 weeks. On Sophie's third day back, Daniel, the heir of the Scott family, suddenly decided to study abroad. He supposedly plans to settle there, and no one mentioned the marriage alliance anymore. I knew it wasn't a coincidence. Not long after, Sophie's father asked to meet me privately. "Leo, I'll get straight to the point. Sophie is our only daughter. Her future is very important to her mother and me. I've looked into your background. You come from a clean background, you're hard-working and talented. We don't have any prejudices, as long as a young man's background is clean and his character is good. Chloe's mother and I wouldn't oppose. As for the time you spent with Chloe, it's not a big deal. Things are different now from when I was young. I'm not stuck in the past. I can handle it. Sophie likes you. I can see that." Mr. Harrison sighed. "You've heard about Daniel, right? Our elders wanted the union with the Scotts, but Daniel really liked Sophie. She refused him after she returned. He was heartbroken and decided to leave. He won't be coming back. Leo, if Chloe insists on you, we won't oppose. But we only have one condition." "Please tell me." I already guessed what it was. Mr. Harrison is a smart man. He didn't start with insults or bribes to drive me away. He let me choose myself. I'm sure his investigation of me confirmed a few things. He figured he knew how I'd choose. "If you want to be with Sophie, I hope you resign from the ballet company, and don't pursue dancing anymore. Dance demands a low body fat percentage. Over time, it's not great for long-term health. More importantly, our family needs an heir. I saw your medical report, and honestly, you've battled depression, haven't you?" I nodded gently. "Yes, but I've been off meds for ages." Mr. Harrison shook his head. "Leo, she's our only daughter. I hope you understand, as parents. I know asking you to give up your dream is tough. If you're willing, I can help you study business management overseas. Of course, there will be financial compensation." Mr. Harrison's offer was genuine. More importantly, his words were logical. No room for resentment. Mr. Harrison, to be honest, I had offers from overseas dance companies, but turned them down. Now, I'll reconsider. You're right, giving up on my dream is cruel to me. I looked at him, smiling openly. Besides dancing, I'm really not good at anything. Giving it up isn't an option. Sounds like Leo has made his decision. I nodded slightly. But Mr. Harrison, I don't need any financial compensation. Sophie has already helped me a ton. Leo, have you ever thought about having nothing at all? Mr. Harrison sighed. Sophie could never let you go so easily. After meeting with Mr. Harrison, I couldn't shake off my bad mood. That's because I'd been diagnosed with depression before. I immediately knew something was off with my body. I went to my former doctor to get some meds, but it seemed like they weren't working. Then that night, there was an accident during the performance. We were doing the ballet Don Quixote. I played the lead role, Basilio. There were lots of challenging moves. While spinning to center stage, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my lower abdomen, throwing off my balance. I ended up falling hard on the stage. When the ambulance got me to the hospital, my forehead was bleeding from a gash. They took me into the ER right away. The surgery didn't take long. By the time Sophie arrived, I was already hooked up to an IV in the room. The moment she walked in, tears burst from me like a dam breaking. The doctor's words were still echoing in my ears. The intense exercise caused intestinal spasms, leading to acute abdominal pain. Thankfully, they treated you quickly. Otherwise, it could have been worse. Plus, considering your current condition and all the meds you've taken, there's irreversible damage to your reproductive system. It's going to be tough for you to have your own kids. Leo, you're pushing too hard. You need to take care of yourself or you'll fall apart, they said. Sophie squeezed my hand. Leo, don't worry. Everything's all right now. Sophie. I weakly said her name. Can you hold me tight, please? I chose to leave on a day when Sophie was at her busiest. Her company's biggest project was at a critical stage. She couldn't get away. I left Sophie a letter, telling her secretary not to give it to her until the project was done. In the letter, I wrote to her, Sophie, from the start, I used you. I used you to get away from Chloe and her control and revenge. I used you to get back on stage, to keep dancing. I'm just a conventional, selfish guy. In my life, except for dance and myself, nothing else matters. Back in school, when I was bullied, I held on to Chloe like a lifeline. After Chloe got engaged, I latched onto you. I'm grateful for the help. But that's it, just grateful. I have nothing to give but myself, and I've given you whatever I could. So we're even now. Chloe did come looking for me abroad. I didn't see her. She sat front row at every one of my shows, sent me countless flowers. But I always remembered the time when Sophie was away on a business trip but still sent flowers to fill almost the entire theater. Now it's been a year with no contact. Before Chloe returned home, she had someone give me a letter. Leo, I never liked that you were so focused on dance. I made fun of your injured foot, mocked your profession as just entertainment. I selfishly wanted you to be around me, my own. I arrogantly thought even if I got married, you'd stay around. For people like us, keeping a few men wasn't a big deal. But when you truly walked away without looking back, I got scared. Leo, I couldn't destroy your dream and keep you. But I realized too late. As I read the letter, someone knocked on the door to my dressing room. Leo. It was Sam, an Asian guy from my troupe. What's up? I asked, putting the letter away and turning to him. His expression was surprising. A lady's here to see you? I thought it was Chloe again. I sighed. Not seeing her. It's not her. My heart skipped. This stunning woman. You wouldn't believe how everyone froze when she walked in. I've never seen anyone wear a trench coat that well. But her face, that's the showstopper. Sam, you have no idea how charming she was when Marco hit on her. She just said, "Sorry, I have a boyfriend." I couldn't help but tightly grip something in my hand. Marco, that French playboy, never missed his mark. Sam, what did she say really? You'll find out. Come on, tell me. Sam chuckled. She said, sorry, I have a boyfriend. Guess who she meant? I shrugged, my heart aching with jealousy. Sophie was indeed easy to charm. Marco was a dashing charmer. Even I thought he was irresistible. Sam burst out laughing. She flat out declined. Sorry, I have a boyfriend. He draped an arm around me, gossipy. Think it's you, Leo? That her boyfriend is you? Isn't it why you keep turning Chloe away? What gives? We've been close for a year and I didn't know you had a gorgeous, fierce girlfriend. She's not my girlfriend. Yeah, right. Sam stared, disgruntled. The wallpaper on your phone is both of you. I'm not blind or foolish. I had no clue how to explain. Everything here was true. Selfish. Yet greedy. Can't let go of Dance. Can't let go of her. I wouldn't give up Dance for her. But I keep her in my heart, crying at night, missing her. Someone as selfish as me deserves loneliness in the end. But Sophie, why is she here to find me still? I am selfish and ruthless, heartless, taking off without a second thought. Sophie's never wronged me at all. But what did I do to her in the end? Leo, are you crying? So you really still love her, don't you? Go find her, go see her, Sam kept urging me. I wiped my tears and slowly stood up. Going downstairs, I saw her immediately. After a year. She had gotten a bit thinner, but her eyes seemed calmer, yet colder. My vision was seriously blurry. I couldn't see her clearly at all. Leo, Sophie's voice came through, crossing the distance of time. Leo. I hugged her tight with all my strength. Sophie, take me home. She didn't answer, just gently cupped my face, just like that night in the practice room. Exactly the same. Leo, look at me and say it again. I broke into a smile through my tears. As she asked, I looked at her without looking away. I said it again, loudly. Sophie, take me home. She rarely smiles, but when she does, it's like a healing remedy for all of Leo's countless wounds. She slowly lowered her head, pressing her forehead against mine. Are you gonna run again? Not this time. And the running before. Let's leave it at that. Then I'll make it up to you. How? I smiled through tears, feeling my ears start to turn red again.